rundown.
And there he is. A very good evening, morning. I can never remember. Sydney, Australia. Davis Fang joins us, our tech presenter. Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm very well. And yes, it is indeed evening, although you probably couldn't tell by looking out that window, can you?
No, I can't. I can't at all. So, lots of tech. This is Renee's favourite part of the show, as you know, for the whole, the whole weekend.
I hope there's a folding phone.
Unfortunately not.
Oh, what a shame, Davis.
Such a pity.
Renee does like a folding phone.
I'm going to make myself one out of cardboard.
Okay. Let's talk about Meta first, because obviously this is a huge company, isn't it? Owns a number of brands, including Facebook, Instagram, and so on. Now, they're pivoting and changing their focus.
Yes, that's true. So I think this week we can probably announce the death of the metaverse finally, because so far they've spent over $100 billion on building their metaverse, which is their sort of vision of the future. And it seems like that finally they might be pivoting to the next big thing, which is generative AI. So it's been 2 years, believe it or not, since Meta changed their name from Facebook to Meta, signaling that the metaverse was indeed their future. And do we all know what the metaverse is? We've talked about it a few times.
So this was, I've seen videos of a man in jeans walking through virtual shop fronts where you could then have
a virtual life, isn't it?
Virtual life, which I had no interest for me at all.
No.
Yeah, it's a bit tragic, isn't it? But it was quite an audacious attempt of Zuckerberg trying to leapfrog the competition into the next realm of the internet. He thought it was a metaverse, sort of this VR reality thing, and it clearly was not to be, because despite spending $100 billion on it, simply nobody is using it. Because I think it's because they didn't really provide a decent vision as to what it could possibly be. Because nobody really wants to spend their entire day having a VR headset on their face for no particular reason. The examples they showed were mainly just a boardroom in terrible graphics, which is hardly better than sitting in front of a computer.
But
so
hang on a minute. You would have thought if you're going to invest, a significant sum of money, $100 billion, you would actually have a very clear business plan as to what you're trying to do. That seems you've basically thrown money away, haven't you?
Yeah, I think the idea was just to give people the tools to create a vision despite not having the vision themselves. For example, we can look at Decentraland, which was a sort of a crypto bank thing that was physical in the metaverse, worth $1.3 billion, and it had a total of 38 daily users. Simply pathetic. Horizon Worlds, which is Meta's flagship product, it had only 200,000 monthly users. They failed to convince their own employees into using it. So it was just basically a complete disaster. And now they are turning into the next actual realm of the internet, which seems to be generative AI, as in ChatGPT. And some of their products that they've created already are quite interesting. For example, they've got a thing that turns text into video. So you can say, hey Meta, please give me a video of two people walking down the street, and it will create that video for you. And they've also got a text version called VoiceBox. And so my question is, now that they're turning away from the metaverse, is it time to change the name into something else?
No.
Maybe like Meta AI or something.
Well, I think the thing is that to have a brand change is so expensive anyway, and it takes a very long time for the brand to bed in, and I think anyone would probably advise them don't change it. And weirdly, I was thinking about this the other day, that actually the change of brand was quite clever in some ways, because you can encompass then other things underneath it, when it was obviously just Facebook. Let's move on, if we may. Now, this I find very interesting indeed, because we talk a lot about these social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, also this new one, Threads. And Threads, I think, is doing something quite interesting. What's the story here?
Yeah, so last week we did talk a lot about Threads, which is Meta's new competitor to Twitter. And last week, if I recall, it was doing quite well. It got over 10 million downloads in 7 hours. By the time we talked, it had almost been a week. And it got 84 million downloads. Now it's got well over 100 million downloads. Wow. And unfortunately, we are seeing that users are getting quite bored of it. Engagement is down 25% if we're talking about daily metrics. And people just essentially bored of the platform, and we do have to ask why. Because have you spent a bit of time on it, David?
I have, and I'm bored. I would agree with that entirely.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah, and I just don't really understand what it gives me that the others don't.
Precisely. So the thing is, most social media platforms are built on content, and then the users arrive. Threads has sort of done the other way around. We've got 100 million people, but no content necessarily. The CEO, who is Adam Mosseri, he was in charge of the Facebook newsfeed when they transitioned away from news content. If we remember, in 2016, there was a little bit of controversy regarding Facebook and misinformation campaigns, stuff like that. So they've really shied away from news after that, and also, advertisers aren't especially tolerant to more extreme news being posted. So that's basically left Threads as in quite an empty space. So where you don't really have much news content, you don't really have a lot of political opinions, and you've just got these brands and influencers talking about nothing much really. And they call this a friendly environment, but friendly just equals boring really.
I agree.
And I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do.
Well, I agree totally. And the whole point of Twitter, actually, that's what the political debate is really what underpins Twitter for me. And you can make those political comments. I don't understand, Dr. Renner. I mean, I know you're obsessed with social media, but Threads, if you can't post a political comment and it's a friendlier environment, would you use it?
No, so I haven't downloaded it because I just didn't want to add something else to my, daily stuff that I needed to read. Twitter gives me the contacts that I need, the news stuff that I need, the political stuff that I need. I'm not on there for friends. My friends are elsewhere.
We noticed.
Yes. My friends are elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem, isn't it? So if it's a more friendly environment, that's fine, but surely we should be actually socialising and seeing people for a friendly
100%.
environment.
So Davis, the question then is, has Meta lost its way? Is it sort of just firing around and not really knowing what it's doing?
I think Threads probably will ultimately be a success, but currently it's just in that weird moment in time where we don't really know what its identity is. It might actually turn into a bit of a photo sharing app, a bit like Instagram, because a lot of photographers are taking advantage of the fact that you can post in different aspect ratios and stuff like that. It just needs to find its identity before it can really thrive, I think.
Jim in Hartlepool says Zuckerberg needs to get a metamorphosis. Very clever. Very good. Very bright.
That's funny.
Let's move on to Twitter. I was talking about Twitter, and obviously it is the sort of the tool of use of politicians. What are they doing?
Yeah, so Twitter, which is sort of on the other side of the fence of this fight between Twitter and Meta, they're introducing a new monetization strategy. So far they've launched subscriptions, which is basically you can pay your favorite Twitter creator a little bit of money to access some special exclusive tweets. Not a lot of people are using that, but this new feature that they've just introduced is probably the main part of the strategy, which is launching an ad share program with their creators. Currently, it's only available to Twitter Blue, so you have to spend money to make money. But essentially, Twitter will pay you a share of the profits from the from the ads that are placed in the replies to your tweets. So you want to create a tweet which gets a lot of replies, and hopefully you get some money back from that. And so far, a lot of people have made quite a bit of money, up to $40,000 in some cases. Which is insane for just tweeting. I think it's a great idea personally because it will really encourage people to create more content on Twitter. But the question is, where is this money coming from?
Yeah.
Twitter is barely sustainable as it is. They're hemorrhaging cash. So how can they afford to pay half of their advertising dollars to creators where they don't have the bank balance of Google, they don't have the support of Meta? I just don't know really.
And so for this, so the Twitter monetization, how do people find out more about that if that's what they want to do?
Currently, you can look into the monetization part of your the settings part of your Twitter app, but it's just in trial right now. It will hopefully be expanding in the future, and I think this ad share revenue sort of format really spearheads creativity on social platforms. YouTube especially, the reason why it's got such great traction, why it's got such great content, is because people can actually make a living off it. If Twitter can do the same thing, it would really be amazing for them.
Yeah, it would. Good indeed. Let's move finally, if we may, to Apple, of course, releasing another software upgrade. It goes to a new iOS, doesn't it?
Yeah, we've talked about iOS 17 before, but finally, the public, we can all use it. The public beta has come out. I've been using it for a few months, and there's a few features that I think are really good. Firstly, there's the standby feature. So basically, when you're charging your phone on a stand, it will give you, a clock and your pictures and your calendars, stuff like that. It's pretty cool. You've got name drop. Which,
hang on, wait. Dr. René, you're grimacing. It's pretty cool.
Does it not do that anyway?
Doesn't it do that anyway?
Oh, look.
Kind of, but not really. This turns it into a proper, smart hub home screen. It's quite cool if you try it out.
It's quite cool.
You like that?
I have that.
Oh, okay, René likes that. What else does this new software do?
We've got name drop, so it sort of replaces business cards. You put two iPhones together to exchange contact details. Quite interesting. We've got live voicemail. Never listen to a voicemail again. It'll transcribe it for you into a text.
That.
Yeah.
Like
Interactive widgets. Do we like widgets?
What's a widget?
Not this again. We've been down
That's the question.
We've been down
but you can tap, to complete your tasks straight from your home screen without having to go into the app. And the new autocorrect is also amazing.
Oh,
so,
is it good? Because it keeps changing all the words that I type into something completely wrong.
Yeah.
Really
wrong.
And then it does it again.
It will now learn the way you type.
Oh, I see. Because at the moment it just keeps recorrecting to the original text that it thinks is right. But surely it should learn, and now it does. So that's good.
Yes, and it will learn all your jargon and all the little ways that you type as well, so it'll be really good.
Yeah, well, that sounds very good indeed. Oh, by the way, Davis, just before you go, Dan from Kent says, forget about tech. Where did Davis get that laughing emoji cushion from behind you? I want one of them.
That was from an Instagram event many years ago. I'm sure you'll be invited one day, Dan.
Well, thank you so much, Davis. Always a great pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Davis Fang, their tech presenter. And that was today's Tech Rundown.
Tech Rundown.
I love the fact he was